The drama surrounding Nick Ball's rise is the kind that boxing has always thrived on. Relentless pressure, controversy, bruising exchanges, and the sense that something dangerous is steadily moving toward the sport's established order. To many fans and insiders, Ball is no longer just another aggressive British contender with crowd-pleasing habits. He has become a looming problem, the kind of fighter who forces uncomfortable questions to be asked about champions who rely on control, precision, and distance. And that is exactly why his name has begun to surface in conversations that once felt unthinkable, including the idea that he might represent a genuine nightmare. Scenario for elite operators like Naoya Inoue, Nick Ball does not look like a nightmare at first glance. He does not glide across the canvas with balletic elegance, nor does he boast the kind of highlight reel knockouts that instantly go viral. What he brings instead is something far more corrosive and, over time, far more damaging to opponents: a suffocating presence. From the opening bell, Ball advances with the quiet certainty of someone who knows exactly where he wants the fight to take place. He closes space without panic, cuts the ring with small, efficient steps, and forces exchanges whether his opponent wants them or not. This is not chaos. It is pressure with intent. Born in Liverpool, a city that understands grit and conflict as deeply as it understands sport, Ball has always fought in a way that feels culturally inevitable. British boxing fans respond instinctively to fighters who give everything, who trade comfort for confrontation, and who are willing to grind an opponent down inch by inch. Ball embodies that ethos completely. He thrives in close quarters, in the so-called telephone booth, where foreheads clash, shoulders grind, and every breath feels contested. In those moments, his physical strength becomes apparent. Clinching with Nick Ball is not a rest. It is a punishment. Fighters who try to wrestle with him quickly learn that they are expending energy they cannot afford to lose. There are flaws. Ball has never pretended otherwise. His defense can be porous, his head movement inconsistent, and his willingness to absorb shots in order to give them back would make purists wince. Yet those same flaws have been repeatedly masked by his engine, his durability, and his sheer refusal to yield ground. He may not carry one-punch knockout power, but his punches are heavy in accumulation, and his body work drains opponents in ways that are not always immediately visible. By the time fighters realize they are in trouble, their legs have begun to betray them, and their reactions have slowed just enough for Ball to take over completely. The record reflects that steady, grinding effectiveness. Out of 22 professional bouts, Ball has won 21, with 12 victories coming inside the distance. Only one fight ended without a win, a draw that still fuels debate. But those numbers alone do not tell the full story, because Ball's path to prominence was anything but accelerated. He turned professional in June of 2017, and for 5 long years he operated almost entirely beneath the radar. He fought opponents whose names barely registered even with seasoned boxing observers. Learning his trade the hard way in small halls and modest events, building habits round by round, that patience began to pay off in April of 2022. When Ball stepped up in competition for the first time in a meaningful way against Isaac Lowe, it was a moment that revealed something important about him. Against a sturdier, more recognizable opponent, Ball did not hesitate or shrink. He imposed himself and stopped Lowe in the 6th round, a performance that immediately caught the public's attention. The fans responded not just to the result, but to the manner of it. This was a fighter who came to fight, who asked questions his opponent could not answer, who seemed to grow stronger as the bout wore on. Momentum followed quickly. By the end of that year, Ball recorded 2 more stoppage victories. First over Nathaniel Kakalo, and then over Jesus Ramirez Rubio. The Rubio fight, in particular, was a statement of intent. Knocking an opponent down 3 times in the opening round is not simply about power. It is about overwhelming someone before they have time to settle into the fight. Rubio tried to respond, tried to fire back, but each exchange only seemed to invite more punishment. When the stoppage came, it felt inevitable, almost merciful. There were tougher nights too, nights designed to test Ball's resolve rather than showcase his dominance. His bout with undefeated South African Ludomati stretched into the final round, forcing Ball to dig deep and prove that his pressure could be sustained over 12 demanding rounds. He managed to secure the stoppage late, a testament to both his conditioning and his mental resilience. That victory quietly opened doors. It signaled to promoters and matchmakers that Ball was not just an action fighter, but someone capable of surviving adversity and still finding a way to impose himself. The real turning point arrived in November of 2023, when Ball faced former super bantamweight world champion Isaac Dogboe. This was the first truly significant test of his career, and the atmosphere reflected it. The fight was fierce from the opening exchanges, exactly the kind of battle Ball prefers. Dogboe, experienced and tough, came prepared, but the physical disparity became increasingly obvious. Ball's strength, his willingness to fight on the inside, and his relentless output slowly tilted the contest in his favor. The bout was not without controversy. Refereeing decisions raised eyebrows, particularly when a clear knockdown scored by Dogboe in the third round was inexplicably ruled out. Later, a slip by Dogboe was counted as a knockdown against him, further muddying the waters. Yet even setting those moments aside, Ball's superiority across the majority of the rounds was difficult to deny. He controlled the tempo, punished the body, and consistently forced Dogboe onto the back foot. When the judges' scores were read, all in Ball's favor by comfortable margins, it felt like confirmation that he belonged at this level. With that win, Ball's promoter Frank Warren decided the time was right for a world title opportunity. In March, Ball challenged WBC featherweight champion Rey Vargas, a tall, skilled Mexican with a significant height and reach advantage. Early on, the fight followed a familiar pattern for a challenger facing a rangy champion. Vargas used his jab effectively, keeping Ball at distance and appearing comfortable. For a few rounds, it looked as though technique and size might prevail. But Ball does not fight in straight lines. He does not accept being controlled indefinitely. As the rounds passed, his pressure began to tell. He crowded Vargas, worked the body, and made the exchanges increasingly physical. Minor fouls crept in, as they often do in his fights, subtle nudges and rough tactics that disrupted Vargas's rhythm. The champion's endurance began to fade. Suddenly, Ball was closing the distance with alarming ease. The momentum shift was unmistakable. Ball scored knockdowns in the 8th and 11th rounds, moments that seemed to seal the fight in the eyes of most observers. By the final bell, there was a strong sense that the challenger had done enough, that he had taken the title through sheer force of will and work rate. Yet boxing, as always, found a way to surprise. The judges returned a split decision that allowed Vargas to retain his belt, a verdict that sparked immediate debate and frustration. For Ball, it was a bitter lesson in the realities of championship boxing, but it also reinforced his belief that he belonged among the elite. Redemption came swiftly. On June 1st, Ball faced undefeated American Raymond Ford for the WBA featherweight title. The fight was a fascinating clash of styles. Ball pressed forward relentlessly, while Ford countered with speed and precision. Looking to exploit the openings Ball sometimes leaves behind. The contest was exceptionally close. It's the kind of fight where every round matters, and momentum shifts subtly from minute to minute. In such scenarios, champions often receive the benefit of the doubt. This time, however, the judges leaned toward the aggressor. Ball was awarded a split decision victory, 2 cards in his favor, crowning him WBA featherweight champion of the world. The decision was controversial, but so too was the Vargas result that went against him. In the ledger of boxing justice, it felt like a debt repaid. When Ball raised the belt, it marked the culmination of years of steady, punishing work. His first title defense came on October 5th against American challenger Rody Rios, a seasoned contender who had challenged for world titles before. The fight was everything Ball supporters hoped for. From the opening rounds, he imposed himself, dropping Rios multiple times and showcasing a growing confidence in his own abilities. The sustained attacks were brutal, methodical, and relentless. Rios showed heart, continuing to fight back even as his body absorbed punishment, but the outcome felt inevitable. In the 10th round, Ball secured the stoppage, a decisive and crowd-pleasing conclusion that solidified his status as a legitimate champion. Then came another night in Liverpool, heavy with expectation. Ball entered the ring calm and focused, aware that champions are judged not just by their victories, but by how they handle opponents who refuse to fold easily. His challenger, experienced and skilled, attempted to slow the pace with a disciplined jab and intelligent movement. For a few rounds, the fight remained competitive, tactical chess match layered over the usual physical exchanges. But as so often happens, Ball began to turn the screw. His tempo increased, his punches grew sharper, and his confidence